Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome back, friends, to spelling segment of our program. We have done in our previous segments the rules, the basic theory on spelling, and we have given you adequate number of rules for you to teach the child and the sequence in which you are going to teach the child. The number of rules that we have given is more than adequate for the child to be able to spell well. Today we are going to be doing teaching methodologies. You have the rules, and today we are going to do the methods which you are going to use to teach, the strategies that you are going to teach. The methodologies that we are going to see today are Fernald tracing, simultaneous oral spelling, clap and punch, the Sonde system, the look, say, cover, write, and visual imagery, configuration boxes, and setting it to tune. At the very outset, I would like to give credit to Orton Gillingham approach, the Fernald multisensory approach, and to Arlene Sonde for coming up with these brilliant methodologies to teach the dyslexic child how to spell using visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile. So, let us go into each one of them in detail. The first methodology that we are going to look into is the Fernald tracing. Now, the Fernald multisensory approach tells us that when we use the pads of the index and the middle fingers to trace on surfaces that offers resistance, it is the quickest path to the brain. Now, this also gives the child the feeling of the formation of the letters in the word. So, take a tray of sand or sandpaper and make the child trace the word as he says the letters in the word, and this is one of the best way for him to send it to his short term and long term memory and for him to remember the spelling. Now, you can trace on any surface, need not just be the sand tray or the sandpaper. You can use a tray filled with grains. You can use a tray filled with salt. You can also use a Ziploc bag filled with shaving cream. This actually is a very effective method because as the child traces the word on this Ziploc bag, there is depth, there is texture, and there is that formation clearly seen when he traces it out. So, Fernald tracing is a very effective method which should be used after every other methodology while teaching spelling. So, when we are going to be visiting all the other methodologies, at the end of each methodology we will be having one tracing session because it is the quickest way to reach the brain. Our next methodology is the simultaneous oral spelling. Here we have a card and we have a word written on the card. The teacher shows the card to the child, says the word, naming the letters in the word aloud. The teacher asks the child to repeat it. It is important that the teacher names the letter name in the word and not the letter sound. The teacher then writes the word, says the letter in the word as she is writing it, and it's the letter name. Having done that, she will synthesize the word and say the word aloud. Now, the child writes the word, and as the child is writing the word, he is naming the letters in the word aloud using the letter names and finally says the word. He can choose any medium to trace the word. It can be a crayon, it can be a felt tip, it can be chalk, but he will do it several times. Repeat this process of tracing, naming the letters aloud, saying the word aloud at the end of each tracing exercise, and then this way he will internalize the word. Finally, the teacher will take away the initial paper that the child has written on and make him write the word in the book. This is the simultaneous oral spelling method, an effective way to teach non-phonetic or sight words. In spelling, we have two categories of words. We have words which are phonetic and which can be broken up into individual sounds and spelled, and we can have the non-phonetic words or the most frequently appearing words or sight words. Many of the methodologies that we see today are very good for teaching non-phonetic words because those are the words which are most difficult to teach. Our next spelling methodology is the clap and punch method. Here we teach the child that he needs to clap for the consonant and punch for the vowel. Again, clap for the consonant and punch for the vowel. This gives him the kinesthetic and tactile feeling and also gives him a mental stimulus that there are n number of vowels and n number of consonants. So, again let us take the same word that we saw earlier, said, S-A-I-D, said. The child will follow what you have done initially and will repeat S-A-I-D, said. Please note that I have said the word aloud after the completion of the exercises. Now, clap and punch method is very, very effective method to teach the non-phonetic sight words. Now, I had mentioned it earlier that every teaching methodology is followed up by a tracing method. So, please trace in the air S-A-I-D. This way you have reinforced the spelling of the word in multi ways. For instance, you have done the tactile and the kinesthetic, again the multisensory method where the child has traced it. Please remember, whenever you trace, you have to trace with the pads of your index and your middle fingers. Tracing can also happen on your body. So, the child can trace on his hands S, A, I, D. Using these methods, you can help the child to teach the non-phonetic words. Our next method, a method which we have seen a lot of success with our children, the Sonde system. Special credit to go to Arlene Sonde, who came up with this method to teach adults in America. We have improvised it slightly, and instead of using sounds to teach, we teach the child using the letter names. So, it is a kinesthetic and a tactile method of learning spelling. Let us see how it is done. Take your left hand at your eye level with your thumb pointing to the left. Take your right hand, keep it next to your left hand and the thumb also pointing to the left. Can we get it right? Can you please both try both the hands, the thumb facing left. Once we have this position, we will embed each letter onto one finger. Let us again take the same word said, S-A-I-D, said. Now, I have completed the word by taking my hand over the 4 fingers. I will repeat it now. S-A-I-D, said. Now, you can help the child internalize the spelling of the letters word by touching each finger. So, ask the child, what letter comes in this finger? D. What letter comes in this finger? I. What letter comes in this finger? A. What is the first letter that comes in this word? S. Now, by doing this, you are encouraging the child to visualize the letters on the tips of his fingers, and this will help him. So, you are using his visual memory, you are using his tactile memory by touching it, you are using his kinesthetic memory also, because there is a movement of your gross motor, you are moving your hand and you are lifting your fingers. All this while you are verbally saying the name of the letters and you are synthesizing it to make it into a word. A very, very effective method to learn spelling. It has shown lot of results in the learning centers that we have gone in. So, please let's look at another word, tough, T-O-U-G-H, tough. One thing you please remember, as you are using your hand, the other hand must be there right next to it with the thumb facing the left. Why left? Why should the thumb face left? The thumb faces left because we read from left to right. We spell from left to right. Using that concept, we keep the thumb facing the left. So, another point we have to remember, you cannot take a word which has got more than 10 letters, which often will not be the case, because if you have a word more than 10 letters, you can always syllabicate it and make it into smaller chunks to help the child to learn. Here, when you have words which are less than 10 letters, if it is a non-phonetic word, even better. If it's phonetic word also, it's fine. Use these fingers to help them to learn. In teaching spelling, it's not necessary that all of us should use words that make sense. Teaching spelling using nonsense words or words that don't make sense is a very effective way to make the child learn how to spell. You can use any of the methodologies that we have done to teach nonsense words. My favorite nonsense word is goriakpo. It's a word that does not make sense. But do you want to see how you can learn it well? Let's try it out. G-O-R-I-A-K-K-P-U, goriakpo. So, let's look at it again. G-O-R-I-A-K-K-P-U, goriakpo. Now, encourage the child to look at the finger as he is spelling it. Let's do it again. G-O-R-I-A-K-K-P-U, goriakpo. Now, I am going to test the child to see if he has internalized or he can see the letters on the fingers. Which is the first letter? G. Which is this finger? R. Which is this finger? O. Which is this finger? A. Which is this finger? The final finger? U. Which is this finger? K. Now, if the child can feel, see and tell you, then you can use this method to teach the child. But beware, many children can't use this method. They find it difficult to associate the letter with the finger with what they see. So, don't push them, don't force them. Go with the style and the way that they are comfortable in, but give them the opportunity to see what are the various kinds of methods that we have in our bag of remedial teaching. That was your Sunday system or the touch spelling. Our next methodology is your look, say, cover, write method. Now, this method is a wonderful method to correct the spelling mistakes that the child make. In earlier days, we used to write lists when we have made a wrong spelling. We used to write it 10 times, 100 times. And I remember how I used to write. I used to write all the first letters, I used to write all the last letters, and I'd get bored in between and write all the middle letters alternatively. This did not help me to learn the spelling. So, we need to find a foolproof way to make the child learn the mistakes or undo the mistakes that he has learned. So, how do we correct his spelling mistakes? Let us look at this method, look, say, cover, write. The word is tough. Make the child look at the word. Now, he is visually taking in this picture of how this word looks. Then I am going to say the spelling T-O-U-G-H, tough. Then I am going to cover it. He can't see visually, but he can remember the auditory inputs and the spellings that we have given. Now, I am going to give him the word with one letter missing. Now, he has to fill in that blank. Can he? Yes. He will realize that what is the first thing that is missing is the T. Having done this, we will go through the process once again. So, we have tough, we have look, we have say, and we have cover, and we fill in the missing letter. So, next what is the missing letter? O. Now, the child will fill up the O. 100% the child will be able to see that the missing letter is O, or should I say 99%, does not matter. So, tough. In this way, as you go step by step and cover all the letters in the word, the final word you will have all the blanks missing, and you will tell the child finally look at the word, say the spelling, cover the word and write tough, and the child should be able to write. So, this is a much better way of correcting spelling mistakes than writing it 10 times and 100 times. The next method to teach spelling is using the visual imagery of the child. Now, dyslexic children tend to see each word as an image. So, let us use this to his advantage and help him to learn the spelling. So, those of us who are creative and who can draw, with each word you can have a small picture to depict the word. My examples here are the word might. Now, might denotes strength, it denotes muscles. So, I have two arms drawn next to this word might. The child remembers this word by the hands that he sees. Looking at this word sight, which is my next example, I have two eyes. Now, when I am drawing pictures to denote the word, I have to be careful, because I cannot draw one eye to denote sight, because we have two eyes. Similarly, I cannot draw one hand to denote might, I have to draw two hands. So, let us be careful when we denote words using pictures, but it can be a very good method for the dyslexic child to remember the word and the meaning of it. Now, the next word we have here is drop. Can we see a drop? Yes. Another word that we have is grief. We have a sad face. That gives you the meaning of the word, and the child remembers the picture as he remembers the word. This helps the visual imagery of the child. So, many dyslexics have visualization as their strength. Let's use it to help them to teach spelling. Now, having visualized the word, the child also sees how the word looks. We come to our next methodology to teach spelling, which is the configuration box. Let's see how that works. The configuration box shows how the word looks. Now, in the writing segment, which you will be seeing later on, you will hear about standing letters, sitting letters and sleeping letters. Here in configuration box, we are going to use the same concept and draw boxes around each letter. For instance, in the word drop, we have my configuration box will look like this. I have one standing letter, two sitting letter and one sleeping letter. The child with the strength of visual imagery will also be able to see these boxes. Let's take the word little. What would be my configuration box for the word little? This would be my configuration box for the word little. It will help to verbalize for the child, saying that how many standing letters do you see? The child should be able to say 1, 2, 3 and 4. How many sitting letters do you see? The child should say 1 and 2. The more you verbalize, the more the child internalizes the spelling. Now, you have shown him how the word should look. So, how do you make him understand what goes inside? Now, he has pictured the word in his mind, and we are going to test him by removing these letters from the boxes. So, we can test the child using empty boxes and give the child cue that this word I am talking about is something to do with this picture. So, the child should say drop and he should be able to fill up the boxes with the letters. Eventually, when in context he sees the boxes, he will not even need the cue. He will just say the word. Now, look at this picture. I do not have to give him any other verbal cue. He should be able to say C-A-T, cat. The configuration boxes help with the visualization of how the word looks. As I had mentioned earlier, children learn in many different ways. We teach them in the multisensory way to help them to learn in the way they like best. Setting a word to a tune helps those children who are musically inclined. I remember I had great difficulty in learning the word Mississippi. So many S, so many I's and so many P's, and I would struggle until my teacher set a tune to it, and from that day to now I haven't forgotten the tune or the word. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I, Mississippi. Can I sing it again? M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. This word, I have never made a mistake ever since that first day, and I am talking about many years back. So, setting the words to tune helps the child to remember the spelling. Now, you need to get creative. You can set it in any tune that you can think of, or even better still, Get the child to come up with the tune. When he comes up with the tune, he can definitely remember. Now, the idea of giving you all these strategies is not that you have to drill the child in each and every one of them. The idea is that you are enhanced with all the methodologies available and you choose and try to find one that suits the child and how he learns. So, try out one. If it does not work, try the other method. One of these methods would definitely click and the child will learn spelling. So, you have seen all the methodologies that we use to teach children spelling. For the dyslexic child, the multisensory mode is the most important approach that we can use to teach the spelling. Now, once having taught, the traditional method is to give the child dictation. How do we give dictation? There is a method to that too. When we give dictation, we ask the child to repeat what we have dictated. For instance, I am going to say the sentence, I am going home tonight. The child will have to repeat the sentence, I am going home tonight. Not just repeating, he will count the number of words in his hand. I am going home tonight. This process is repeated twice or thrice and then the child is made to write. It is important to keep the sentences short when you are dictating. There is this scientific proof that any chunk which is more than 7 in numbers does not really register in your brain. Make him repeat and make him count the number of words. So, this will also help him when he is writing. If he is missed out on a word, you can always tell him count the words and see if you have that many words in your sentence and he will realize that he has missed out one word. So, please help the child to learn spelling using all the methodologies that we have done. We come to this end of this session of teaching methodologies in spelling. You have now seen the rules, you have seen the terms, you have seen the competencies required, the pre-skills required, and now you have seen the teaching strategies and methodologies to teach spelling. Until my last segment, bye bye for now.